Ever wondered where your hard-earned tax money really ends up? In India, a country marked by its rich history and cultural heritage, political corruption has unfortunately become a pervasive issue. It's a hidden tax on the people, one that siphons off the resources meant for public welfare into the shadows of private pockets. This corruption not only undermines the integrity of governance, but also stalls the development that millions desperately need. Imagine the roads that remain unpaved, the schools that struggle without resources, and the hospitals that turn away the sick because the funds meant for them have been diverted. Every rupee lost to corruption is a theft from the future of an ordinary citizen. This systemic issue affects every level of government, from local municipalities to the highest echelons of power, creating a network of unaccountability. As we delve deeper into this topic, we uncover not just isolated incidents, but a pattern, a system designed to benefit the few at the expense of the many. This isn't just about money, it's about how corruption erodes trust in the institutions meant to serve the public good. Let's peel back the layers of this intricate deception. 2010, a year that showcased India on the global stage, but also unveiled staggering corruption. The Commonwealth Games, held in Delhi, was anticipated to be a dazzling display of sportsmanship and cultural heritage. Instead, it turned into one of the largest financial scandals in Indian history. Initially budgeted at around $2 billion, the final expenditure spiraled to an estimated $10 billion. This astronomical rise was attributed to gross financial mismanagement and illicit activities, including kickbacks and inflated contracts. At the heart of this scandal were top politicians and contractors who allegedly siphoned off vast sums of money. Contracts for the games were reportedly awarded at highly inflated prices. For instance, the cost of simple items like toilet paper and treadmills was inflated by up to 10 times their retail value, showcasing a blatant disregard for fiscal responsibility. Furthermore, there were allegations of kickbacks received by officials in exchange for awarding contracts to certain firms. These firms were often unqualified for the projects they undertook, resulting in shoddy construction work that not only embarrassed the nation on a global platform, but also posed safety risks. The repercussions of these financial misdeeds were borne by the taxpayers. The money that could have been used for public welfare projects like education, healthcare, and infrastructure development was instead diverted to cover the inflated costs of the Commonwealth Games. The scandal prompted widespread outrage and led to several high-profile arrests, although many argue that justice has not been fully served. The 2010 Commonwealth Games scandal is a stark reminder of how corruption can undermine national pride and development. It exposed the vulnerabilities in the system where oversight was compromised and accountability was sidestepped. A festivity of sports turned into a spectacle of fraud. Imagine losing $39 billion due to corrupt practices. Hard to fathom, isn't it? Yet, this is not a scene from a high-stakes thriller, but a real-life scenario that unfolded in India during the infamous 2G spectrum scam. This scandal is a stark demonstration of how deep-rooted corruption can lead to colossal financial losses and erode public trust. The 2G spectrum scam revolved around the gross mismanagement and undercharging of mobile telephony companies for frequency allocation licenses. These licenses are crucial as they allow mobile networks to operate and communicate over specific bands of the radio spectrum. Ideally, such licenses are gold dust in the rapidly expanding mobile market and should be auctioned to the highest competent bidder. However, in this scandal, they were sold at throwaway prices. Government officials at the time bypassed the auction route, choosing instead to distribute these valuable assets at arbitrarily low rates, dating back to prices set in 1994, a period when mobile technology was in its nascent stages. The disparity between the market value and the prices charged was monumental, leading to an estimated loss of $39 billion to the Indian Treasury. The aftermath of the scam was a long and tumultuous legal battle. Key political figures and business tycoons found themselves entangled in legal proceedings. The scandal not only highlighted the vulnerabilities of policy-making spaces to corruption, but also underscored the need for stringent regulatory frameworks to govern such critical sectors. The 2G spectrum scam serves as a cautionary tale on the importance of transparency and accountability in governmental operations. It's a reminder that when governance fails to safeguard the nation's assets, the consequences are not just economic, but also severely diminish the trust of the public in their leaders. A scandal that dialed up the cost to the nation. When even cattle feed becomes a medium for milking millions from the government? In the lush landscapes of Bihar, a scandal unfolded that was as audacious as it was damaging. This was not a complex financial fraud involving offshore accounts or encrypted transactions. Instead, it revolved around something as basic as fodder. Welcome to the infamous fodder scam, a stark representation of systemic corruption that permeated through various layers of government. The scam began in the early 90s when fictitious demands for livestock feed were created. These fraudulent orders were so inflated that they claimed expenses for cattle feed that could have sustained herds larger than the livestock populations of entire regions. The scheme involved an intricate network of officials, suppliers, and the facade of bureaucratic paperwork. It was not just a theft of funds, it was a mockery of governance. As the scam continued, the magnitude of money siphoned from the state treasury reached staggering proportions. Estimates suggest that hundreds of millions were illicitly withdrawn. This money, ostensibly allocated for agricultural development and the welfare of poor farmers, instead lined the pockets of the corrupt. High-ranking officials and politicians were implicated, revealing a tapestry of complicity that extended right to the top echelons of the state administration. The impact of the fodder scam was profound. It eroded public trust in the government and highlighted the vulnerabilities of administrative systems to corruption. More tragically, it deprived countless livestock of necessary nutrition and farmers of crucial support. The funds could have revolutionized agricultural practices and improved the lives of millions. Instead, they became a source of illicit wealth for a few. A scam that fed on the public funds meant for the poorest. This narrative is not just a tale of financial misappropriation. It is a lesson on the importance of transparency, the necessity of stringent oversight, and the undying need for integrity in public office. The fodder scam, while a grim chapter in the annals of Indian politics, serves as a crucial reminder of the vigilance required to safeguard the public purse from those who would prey upon it. A resource as black as coal, tainted by transactions just as dark. In the sprawling narrative of India's political controversies, the coal allocation scam, or Coalgate, as it's colloquially known, stands out as a stark example of the mismanagement and alleged corruption that can permeate the highest levels of governance. This scandal revolves around the government's procedure for allocating coal deposits to private companies, which was criticized for being inefficient and non-transparent. Historically, coal has been a cornerstone of India's energy sector, powering major industries and electricity generation across the country. However, the way coal blocks were allocated raised eyebrows. It was reported that instead of a competitive bidding process, coal blocks were allocated on a discretionary basis. This method, critics argued, opened the door for potential manipulation and favoritism, ultimately leading to significant financial losses. The magnitude of these losses is not to be understated. The Comptroller and Auditor General of India, in a shocking revelation, estimated that the lack of transparency in the allocation process could have cost the Indian economy approximately $33 billion. This staggering figure brought the issue into the limelight, sparking public outrage and prompting a more in-depth investigation. As investigations unfolded, several high-profile names in business and politics were pulled into the fray, accused of exploiting the allocation system for personal gain. fallout was extensive, with multiple charges and court cases that sought to untangle the web of alleged corruption. The ongoing impact on the energy sector has been profound. Trust in the government's ability to manage India's natural resources was eroded, and the scandal prompted a re-evaluation of coal allocation policies. In response, the government introduced a more transparent auction-based system aiming to restore credibility and ensure that such discrepancies do not occur in the future. Dark clouds over coal allocations revealed darker deeds beneath. Awareness is the first step towards change. In the complex web of political maneuvers, the role of an informed citizenry cannot be overstated. Political scams, often cloaked in the garb of legitimacy, erode the very foundation of trust and governance. It is crucial, therefore, that each individual takes up the mantle of responsibility to educate themselves about these deceptions. Understanding the intricacies of such scams paves the way for demanding transparency and accountability from our leaders. It empowers citizens to question, to scrutinize, and to demand answers. This active participation is the bedrock of a vibrant democracy. Moreover, advocating for reforms that ensure stringent oversight and harsh penalties for those who misuse power is essential. Support for these reforms can manifest in various ways, be it through voting, participating in peaceful protests, or engaging in public discourse. Remember, every call for accountability is a step towards a more transparent and just governance system. Together, we can strive for a governance as clean as the intentions of its founding fathers.